All right, recording has started, and just heads up, we do take pictures. If you'd like not to be in the picture, let us know. But usually for us, we record. If you ask questions, all that gets recorded, and then we do post this on our LinkedIn and our HCC YouTube page. Our intent is to capture this knowledge and wisdom that we get from our local experts and then make it available to our students and our community so that we could, get more folks pursuing and growing entrepreneurship in our region, right? So that's our intent. So we'd appreciate really just letting our speakers have the floor, and then if you want to be part of the photos, join those photos. But if not, just be aware that the devices are live and they are recording and they are taking pictures, etc. as it goes. Okay. Quincy, hi. Yeah. So we're all set up, we're ready to go. And without further ado, I'll pass it to Jada to kick us off for this workshop series.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for everyone who joined us in person and online. This is a monthly event that is into that we have set up to encourage small businesses to seek contracts through the city of Houston. And so we are in partnership with Dr. Jackson, who is the manager of business opportunity here in the city of Houston, as well as Robbie, who is the director of the Center for Entrepreneurship here at HCC. All of these resources are here and available to you free of charge. I like that word. And it's plentiful and very valuable. For instance, here with SCORE, we provide the templates and mentorship necessary to help run your business. Through the city of Houston, they provide the contracts, various contracts that are available to you, as well as the instruction and information behind obtaining the government contracts. And at HCC, of course, they provide the education as well as labor resources in the form of internship, and I'll allow Robbie to expand on that in a few moments. So if you could access free to help you manage the government contracts. So each month we provide you with a different topic. This month is obtaining resources to manage those government contracts. Last month was on bookkeeping, so to help you to manage books around in supporting government contracts. So each month join us, whether it be in person or online, to gather that information as it relates to being a vendor of the city of Houston. Dr. Jackson, would you like to add anything to that introduction? No. Okay, all righty. And Robbie, can you expand on the resources that you have here at HCC?
Absolutely. So let's make sure in the chat I'm seeing, can you turn up the volumes? I'm hoping this volume is way better now. You could hear us. I did switch over to a different mic. Hopefully that helps. And then if you could see me in the camera and you've got the audience that's in person, we'd love for you to be in person for the next one. We host these workshops in partnership with SCORE on the first Thursday of every month, and we'll share a schedule of all the workshops that are still upcoming. And ultimately, our goal is a big event at the end to support the City of Houston's Office of Business Opportunity at the Meet the Buyer event. So our intent really is to provide as much education and intent building, but ultimately get you in front of those people who can help your businesses grow and thrive because they need you. For example, at HCC, we have in the procurement office, we have a budget of about $378 million a year that it spends. There's 70 buildings that HCC operates. 50,000 students go in and out of our doors every year, which means we need a lot of business owners to support everything from landscaping to the janitorial services, to everything you can imagine under the sun. The school needs that. So part of my role at the college as a director for entrepreneurship at the Southwest College is to kind of foster this type of activities where business owners can come learn about opportunities at HCC. They can also learn about resources, hiring our students, connecting with our partners, taking part in pitch competitions, and also helping you find funding for your startup, for your company ideas, or for growing your companies. There's lots of flyers outside that talk about all the different things we do. There's literally 19 sheets of paper. Each one represents an initiative or a program. So take a picture of whatever works for you. Programming in Spanish, we got you covered. You need employees upskilled in digital marketing. We have programs covered for that. You just want workshops where, send people over to just learn something. We have you covered for that. This is an example of a workshop. So lots of things at HCC. So thank you, Jada, for the opportunity to share. My business card is also available for you to reach out to me and let us know how we can help you either start your business or grow your business in town locally, right? So back to you, Jada.
Okay, great. Thank you so very much. So the intent of the in-person is a panel discussion, which allows you to ask as many burning questions about the topic or just about entrepreneurship as it relates to being a vendor for the city of Houston. So it's interactive. Please feel free to ask questions. Again, like Robbie said, at the end, we will have a Q&A session that allows you to speak your mind and, that freely without it being video recorded. So,
can everybody just give yourself a hand clap?
yeah, absolutely.
I just want to do that because thank y'all for coming out. I know it's starting to rain. And then for the other thing too, is that we used to do this and it was like one person
Yeah.
or no one here. So
And it was fun, but this is funner, if that's a word. Yeah.
Online, no, there's people here.
Yeah, there's people here. They actually showed up in the rain. So, and I almost hit one of them, so. But yeah, we're cool. So I'm glad that you're here to join us. Again, this month's topic is obtaining business resources. So I am a representative of SCORE. I am a SCORE mentor as well as a presenter. And so within SCORE, we are a national organization that I did the wrong.
There you go.
Yeah, that provides mentorship and resources to the community. So if you are in the city of Houston and you are interested in a business that's flourishing in another state, then you can reach out to mentors in that state and possibly bring that business here to Houston. Houston is the largest chapter in the United States. We have over 160 volunteers covering everything from business startup to attorneys, CPAs that you could talk to for free before you actually pay someone to provide you with the legal advice you need to run your business. So again, we're a partnership with the city of Houston. Okay, there we go.
The other way.
Thank you. Okay, so okay. I'm accounting, okay, not technology, right? Okay, so we also have the city of Houston again in partnership. And Dr. Jackson is here to answer those questions. I mean, we know that you're literally in front of a computer searching for bids, and when you find one, you have questions and you want to get, speak to someone in person. Dr. Jackson is here to answer those questions for you. I get Dr. Jackson want to speak on what the city of Houston has to offer as it relates to bids and contracts and resources that are available.
Sure. So the website that you want to make sure that you are very familiar with is purchasing.houstontx.com. That's going to be your website to register to be a vendor with the city of Houston. That's purchasing.houstontx.com. You'll go there to register to be a vendor with the city. And then also you'll go there to search for bids. So any bid solicitations are going to be listed there. And so just as a reminder to folks, when you're looking for solicitations, you're not gonna see everything because remember, contracts have already been distributed out. Some contracts are a year, some can be up to 5 years. So if you don't see anything that relates to what you do, just keep checking. My advice is always to check once a week to see what's out there. And just be familiar with that. And just look for the patterns too. There's ways that you can utilize that website to look at past bid solicitations to truly understand like, oh, okay, well, what I'm interested in is, after you do the research, you can see, oh, it's typically offered, every odd year or once every 4 years. So that gives you an idea of what you need to be prepared for. So if it's in that 3rd year before that last 4th year, you want to start preparing because that's going to be sooner than anytime or put up at any time.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson. And another great resource that the city of Houston offers is that you can enter your email address and they will send out a list of solicitations directly in your inbox every Monday. So that's a great resource if you're trying to create a workflow in order to do your contract management.
Yeah.
That is what what I provide as far as mentorship through SCORE as well as through my business is contract management. Part of that is developing a workflow. Again, we're here at the HCC location in Missouri City, which allows us the space that we're in, as well as the technology that Robbie is providing on behalf of the Center of Entrepreneurship, to allow you to connect to the resources that he mentioned earlier. So obtaining business resources. There are so many resources out there, and I just mentioned 5 of them in the first 5 minutes that are available to you for free. So if you can imagine obtaining a contract, first of all, and again, much of the information that we're going to talk about, we'll talk about every month, but we're hitting nuggets of information that will help you as it relates to the topic. So as it relates to obtaining government contracts, you want to be consistent and persistent. Like Dr. Jackson said, you may see it available and it may not be available again for the next 3 years. That may be discouraging for some. However, this is your opportunity in the 3 years to work on building your business up to bid on that contract. Not to say that it's not, something that you can't bid on right now. It just may not be available for you. So in doing so, keep in mind of the resources that you will need in order to support that contract. So like she said, when you look at the bid, look at some of the requirements. So last night I looked at 3 different bids. One in home health care services, the other one in automotive parts, and the other one was education service for inmates returning to society. All 3 of the contracts were completely different and required different things. Now, these contracts could have been available prior to COVID, and now that they're available after COVID, the resources may be different. So that's another reason why you want to pay attention to what the bids require. The change in the culture, the change in the atmosphere is going to affect those bids. For instance, the continuing education bid was specifically for individuals returning to society post-COVID. So they required education materials that included rebounding from COVID. So that's something that would definitely have changed from that bid prior to 2019. Does that all resonate with you? Another thing that you want to keep in mind is that contracting is not an end all. A lot of businesses I speak to say, I'm going to get a government contract, and that's the only thing that they're focused on. We've talked about this in other meetings, is that you should have multiple streams of income. Business to client, business to business, business to government, and also business to global. Those are 4 different opportunities for you to earn and maintain income within your business. One of the streams of income that did not go away during COVID was business to government. So when people could not sell to individuals, when businesses were shut down, you could still get money from the government, and those contracts still needed to exist. You may needed to tweak them a little bit, even with an existing contract within your business, but it was still revenue coming into your business. Do you want to say anything? Okay, all right. Any questions so far? I know I've thrown a lot at you at one time. Yes, ma'am.
I know that different entities for the government require a certification, so this is just a registration that you need to do with your business on the website.
Yeah, so the website I gave, the purchasing, HoustonTX.gov, that's just to be a vendor for the city of Houston. So what you're gonna find is when you are looking to do business with the government, and keep in mind, the city of Houston just governs the city of Houston. School systems, school districts, that's not the city of Houston, they're separate, right? The county is not the city of Houston, it's separate. Just wanna make sure we're all on the same page when it comes to that. And health systems, not the city of Houston. So anytime you're gonna do business with any of those government agencies, you have to register to be a vendor. When they're set asides, right? And then, so when you have the certifications, you have local, state, and federal. Federal only accepts federal certifications. State accepts state certifications. Local accepts local certifications. And then within the local certifications, some only accept certifications from certain agencies. So I say all that to say, know who you want to do business with, and that will guide you on what certifications and who you need those certifications from, if you need certification.
To piggyback off of that, developing that workflow, again, mentees or clients come to me and they are, bidding on contracts to every single agency that she just mentioned, which is great, very, adventurous for you. However, my suggested workflow is developing determining 3 agencies that you would want to work with. So City of Houston, of course, and then the school districts and the health systems. 3 of them, and kind of max at 3, because again, if you are working with 15 different agencies, you have to know the bidding process for each one of those agencies, all of the contracts and the contract cycles, and all of that good stuff. If you focus on 3, then that way you can incorporate it in your current streams of income as well as your workflow, and you can focus on the 3 contracts within each one of those agencies that will come available. So you're building the resources, the manpower, the funding, all the things necessary that could go in line with the contracts that you want to bid on. Does that make sense? So you want to develop that workflow so that you could be efficient and that you're not just grabbing for straws. And I'm not trying to deter you from reaching for, if you see a $5 million contract and it's in line with the products and services that you offer, but it's not one of the 3 agencies, go for it, for sure. But to keep a focus and an understanding of what your needs are, that is the one that I suggest. Okay, great. Okay, so what I have on the screen is the different contracting phases. And again, this is a slide that we've had talking about contract management, which is in the fall. But what I want to put in perspective, when people think about contract management or contracting, they usually, it's all, in one, thought pattern that I got a bid, on the contract and that's it. And then they get it, and I've heard this so many times, they get the award and it's like, now what? Now they have to get the manpower, they have to deliver, because if you don't, then you end up upside down. It's not an award, it's actually a liability. So the pre-bid activities includes the vendor registration, getting your financials in order. Some of my clients that have come to me and they're interested in contracts, they haven't filed taxes in 3 years. that's an issue. We have to get your tax situation in order before you can even think about certifying for a contract, let alone bidding on one. So those are some pre-bid activities that you should consider. This is your opportunity to establish a relationship with a bank. Because if you're coming to them for a loan to support your labor workforce for the contract, you don't want to do that at the time that you receive the contract. You want to establish that relationship at least years before you actually bid on the contract. So, Dr. Jackson, you mentioned certifications, vendor registration. That is a part of the pre-bid activities. And you also mentioned earlier about doing your research. So in the City of Houston's portal, they have a list of closed bids as well as open bids. So what does that look like for someone that is wanting to do research on bids or a particular bid?
Robin, you got me? Okay. So let's go to the website purchasing.houstontx.gov. And Robbie's gonna bring it up so then y'all can follow along.
I wanted to mention something in regards to the pre-bid activities
Yes.
that you just mentioned. So my company's fairly new, and I am trying to get certified. But one of the things that is being asked is taxes.
Mm-hmm.
So I cannot get certified until I get my taxes from last year.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So that's important to mention, that people that are fairly new, that have fairly new businesses,
Mm-hmm.
cannot register until, cannot get certified until they get their taxes situated.
That's correct. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is a very important point that he's made as it relates to certifications. Your tax status as well as tax filings need to be in order before you get certified. They will not provide you a certification without it. I had a question last night from a SCORE mentee. She is in business with someone, partnership, and his tax situation is not in order. And so her question was, can she still get certified and set him apart? And the answer is no. Because the business was formed as a partnership, he would need to be listed in the certification process, which would not allow for anyone to eliminate him in the certification. So that's another thing that we have to think about. If you are in partnership with someone, including your wife, so in the state of Texas, married couples, they are looked at as one. However, if you are married filing separately and your wife or husband tax situation is not in order, it has to get in order before you can actually register or get certified. Does that answer your question, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So Dr. Jackson.
Okay, so we're here at purchasing.houstontx.gov. And if we go to the third column on the second row, we'll see search for bids. And we'll click there. And so for the research purposes, if we scroll down to where you see that it is a blank, the status, we're going to leave that open so we can look at current and closed bids. And then in the keyword search, that's what we would use to do the research. So can I have a volunteer to give me, okay? Tires. So we'll type in tires.
I actually saw that last night. There's one open for that.
Oh, wow. How convenient.
So when we type in tires,
Search?
yep,
Okay.
hit search. That's going to give us all the current bids out there, current and past bids for tires. And so
Sorry, I'm trying to fit. There you
it
go.
looks like the last one that I see is on November 4th of 2022.
Oh, I see 2023.
You see 2023?
Yeah,
Where?
February. Stock tires for Makawa and T. February 16th of 2023.
Okay, let's click on that one.
Is this in order in any way, or?
I think you can sort. No.
They're all
It's-
closed.
Scroll down.
I see 1/2023, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Right in the middle.
2016?
Yeah, no,
216?
yeah, that one there.
Okay.
Go ahead and click on stop tires for Micaiah.
Okay, so when we click
This
on
one?
that one,
Yeah,
Okay, there's 4 of them.
The
So
one
when
that
you say
says-
this one,
go down.
This one, because some of them have 12 people who are
One more
signed up.
down.
One more down. Okay,
Yes,
this one's
yes.
14.
click on 106,592, because that's the one I'm.
106,
Yeah,
592, right above that. Okay,
Yes.
got it. Thank
Okay.
you. Uh-huh.
So we'll click here, and then what this does is takes us to all the files that are listed under there. So for some, you'll see many things that are listed, and like for this one, you'll just see one. And so we'll just click on that one.
The PDF.
Yes.
I may have to share. Okay, it looks like it's opening in here. Okay.
Okay.
So first of all, how many pages is that, Ravi? I can't see the whole. Is it just one?
I believe it's 3.
Is it 3? Okay.
Okay.
Now, the one that I
3,
was
yeah.
looking at last night had 74 pages. So keep that in mind. They can get really, really big.
Yeah.
A lot of legal jargon.
Mhm.
It's important for you to get familiar with it, ask questions. There'll be opportunities for you to have a meeting, pre-bid meeting, where you can ask questions about the details within the bid. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Mhm. And so, we click on this, and it'll have all the information. And so, like Jada said, some bids are gonna be, we looked at one earlier, did a workshop before I came here, it was 3 pages. I've seen them up to 179 pages. Regardless, you need to read every single thing on there. And they're all gonna look different. So this one is gonna look different from other ones where you'll see where this one just gets down to the nitty gritty. It has a scope of work for tires because it's tires, right? Where some may be multifaceted and they'll have different things there. They'll also have right there when you list it, it typically has like the NIGP code, which means who does not know what an NIGP code is? Okay. So NIGP code and NAICS codes are identifiers for your particular business, meaning your products or services. So if you provide tires, there's gonna be a code that says you provide tires. So when you're submitting bids, it's not just putting down, I provide tires. We don't care about that. We wanna know the code that identifies you as providing tires. And so everyone's products and services has a related code.
And where do we find those codes?
Those codes, you can find them, you can just really do a Google search for
Yeah.
NIGP
Okay.
codes.
And if the page before this, you had the list of items that expired earlier, and had all the dates and the close on, what the close means?
Means the bid is no longer, it's closed bid, it's done. The
Done.
due date is
So-
over with.
Okay, so when you mentioned last night there was one, is that gone also?
Yeah, no,
Currently is none available?
it currently is not available now, it's closed.
All of them?
Mhm. Yeah. So this is what we were mentioning earlier. It could be, available now, and it could be available, it could be closed. So this is an opportunity to see within this bid, it'll say this bid is for instance, a year long. Which means, okay, this time next year, I should look out for this bid. It's gonna become available. I'm gonna have to compete with the person that currently has it, as well as other people that are aware of the bid. Yes, absolutely. And once you put in your email address, it'll send you the list of contract or bids that are available. Not specific.
So when you read on your vendor profile to be a city vendor, you're gonna list your NIGP codes. You can have more than one, but you wanna make sure that you have codes that identify what you provide, whether it's a product or a service. So some folks will have one code, some will have 10, 20 or so. But as long as you list the codes that identify with your business, you're good. So based on that, when you complete your profile and you're now a city vendor, anytime there's a solicitation, this is a solicitation that matches your code, they'll send you an email that has that there. However, I tell people to check weekly anyway, because, it's good when it works.
Yeah.
And then sometimes it's
Technology.
Yeah. So, but yeah, and so what you saw prior to us getting to here was all of the bids, current and past. I didn't see anything current because we just saw all red closed, which means that due date has expired. And so what you do when you see that it's expired, and that's why we went to this particular page to show you, so that you can do your research and see. Okay, so tires. So somebody might say, does the city buy tires? We put in tires. Does the city buy tires? Clearly, there was about 40 something bids there listed. So now that you know the city buys tires, if I'm selling tires, now I want to look at the pattern. How often are these tire solicitations put out there? And then so when you go into each solicitation, which what we've done now, it pulls it up. So then when we look here, we can get a better understanding. So we know here tires fleet management department. So then we know that fleet management, there's a department at the city of Houston called fleet management, that's going to be the one that's buying the tires. So if I'm looking through and I'm on somebody's listener's event and I see city of Houston fleet management department, I supply tires, guess where I want to be? At that event, because I want to make sure I make a connection with the fleet management department.
And an example of that is Meet the Buyer, which is in December.
Mhm.
That's one of many.
Yes. No, they get posted whenever they're ready. So just pick a day out of the week and just be like, this is the day that I serve. An IGP. So when you should be a vendor, it's gonna make you pick. And
Yeah.
they'll have a link there and you can look at that link directly to find your code. Also, if you know of a company that's similar to yours and you know they perhaps are a city vendor, and what their code is.
There's a way to who is certified or is a city vendor within on the website, and you can find out who your competitors.
And so, but if we just look at this, and this is gonna,
Well, we
so
would have to
let's
back out.
stick,
Yeah.
let's
Yeah.
stick with this first.
Yeah.
And then okay. So if we look at this particular bid, you can see the information. It's telling you the designation of a city business or a local business. And it's also letting us know the awarded procurement of 100,000 or more. And it's explaining the process of how it's going to go, as well as the scope of work in 1.0. They're asking for trailer tires, and it has a handproof Kennedy. I have no idea what that means, but I'm sure that's a brand of some sort. And then it tells you the materials that it needs, quality assurance, and the warranty. And it's telling you that contract shall guarantee all of the work that is performed through this contract for a minimum of 1 year from the date of full acceptance. So it's telling you exactly what is of this particular solicitation. And then it even goes down to 14.0, no contact period. When you see this, there's going to be a time where you cannot contact anybody from the city to ask any questions. And so to be in compliance with that, just make sure you read that so you understand what that no contact period is. And so all of our bids, you will put together a bid package and you submit that online under your profile. And so this is just a simple one. There are some that are more complicated, and they'll have the information as far as the pre-bid conference. The pre-bid conference is something that you definitely want to attend because that's going to go over all the aspects, the main aspects of that particular solicitation. Before you go to that pre-bid conference, make sure you read the solicitation. Take notes. If there's any questions that you have, that's your time to ask those questions. And it's also your chance to network with who possibly who would be the prime and potential subs. So is everybody clear? What's a prime contract? Okay. What's a subcontract? Right. Say that again. Exactly. So there's a subcontract. Oh, okay. So the prime contractor is a company that has the actual contract with the entity. We're talking about the city, so the company that has that contract with the city. The subcontractor is hired by the prime contractor to perform a certain part of the work on the city contract. So does a subcontractor for the city submit a bid to the city? Yes or no? Why? He says yes. What's the answer? No. Why? Isn't the subcontractor submitting a bid to the city? Because the prime has a contract with the city, right? So a prime you're gonna have an agreement as a subcontractor with the prime to perform a certain part of the contract. Can a prime ask you as a sub to submit a bid to them to be a sub? Yes, they can. You say what? Right.
Okay, that's what we're here for. We're here to learn.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
They do that before or after prime has been awarded. Exactly, because when a prime is submitting, potential prime is submitting a contract and it has a goal on it, they have to list who they're subcontracting that work out.
They
So
cannot do it after the fact. If they, it's a caveat. They can, there's a possibility, but it should be done prior to the bidding on the contract.
right, because when you're submitting a bid to the city, you're saying, I can do this work. This is how I'm going to do the work. And so they have to have those subs listed prior to it.
Now, this is a boilerplate bid, meaning that this is what a typical bid looks like, and this is core information that you're gonna find in most bids, majority, okay? Like Dr. Jackson and I said, they can get to 100, 200, 500 pages, literally. All of what they expect you to understand and read prior to bidding on and receiving the contract. Now, some of the information that's within this bid here, for instance, they said it's $100,000 contract for 1 year. If you are, in business and you're doing business to business anyway, and you do service tires, but you don't service these particular Hercules Strong Guard tires, that means that more than likely you're going to have to incorporate some resources to obtain the tires in order to sell them to the government. That means either you're going to have to go to the bank and get funding. You're either going to have to partner with someone that already has the tires. These are the resources that we're talking about that you should obtain at the pre-bid activities prior to bidding on the contract. So you haven't even won the contract yet. So these are the conversations that you should be having in preparation of it. And in my opinion, the only way to do that is by doing your research. Okay?
We can exit out of here.
Okay. Yes, sir.
So when we went to the page where it had the list of all the contracts available and it says closed, what is the timeline between they put it out there and then it closes?
It all depends on
At least 2 weeks.
Yeah.
At least 2 weeks.
exactly. It
Some
can
will
be longer.
Some will be out there longer, but they have to give you at least 2 weeks
Okay.
notice.
So this is why it's important to develop a workflow of looking on your own each week, because they could put one out Wednesday evening and say your day to look is, on Tuesday, and Tuesday you had a doctor's appointment, so you didn't even look. Now this bid is due and you are not prepared. So it's very important that you develop that workflow as well as determining what this agency's expectancies are. Okay?
And what Robbie has just done is taken us to what's currently available. And so you can see that there's 3 categories. You're gonna have sealed bids, you're gonna have informal procurements, and then you're gonna have RFPs, requests for proposals. And so you can see there that it has the due date there, but also pay attention that you have, the 3rd column is gonna list the department that is asking for that bid. So that gives you some insight as to, okay, if I am, there's your bid that you're talking about, that tire bid.
The tire bid.
Tire and tube automotive.
Yeah, so you got 5 days to prepare for that. So ideally, you probably won't, be able to bid on that one, but it's information for you for the next time. So you can see what's available. I also want to point out, see the time left? They're giving you, a countdown. and it's ticking, right? Also, the buyer is on the far, yeah, there we go. That's your contact person. Now, there is that no contact period, so pay attention to that because, you know, they can not allow you to bid because you contacted them during that period. So outside of that, there's your email address. Introduce, even if you can't bid on that in 5 days, introduce yourself to Patricia and say, hey, you know, I have a tire business, I'm located in Houston, just wanted to introduce myself. And that puts you on her radar. Again, another part of contract management is developing that relationship. Now, I talked about a relationship with a bank, which is a resource, a development with a subcontractor or a prime, that's a resource. And then now with the contract manager. You want to develop that relationship early on. When I did contract management and grant management at the university in Ohio, because I work for another university now, the professors, the PhDs, they had an ongoing relationship with the contract managers or grant managers at NIH. And not that they were on first name basis, but they were developing that relationship so that when they were ready to submit that grant, they were on that radar and they knew more about them than other than I'm submitting a grant or a contract. Does that resonate with you? Okay.
And just to add, I always tell people be strategic, right? Because people from the city, and I'm just speaking because I work for the city, I get at least 200 emails a day. Do not email me saying I do tires. Nice to meet you. Right? So what would help me is if you can really describe what you do. What would help me and what will stick out to me is if you actually did your research before contacting. Because that's going to make you stick out opposed to somebody just said, hey, I do tires. Want to say hello. Okay. Right. I got a thing
So
to
you
do.
came to this page with everything that's out there available for bidding.
This is the page that's
this is
open.
Yeah, so.
These are open.
Where did you click to go to this page?
So you're gonna go to purchasing.houstontx.gov, right? And we went to the,
Yeah, right here, bid search. So you left it blank and just insert?
no, can you go back?
Sure.
Go back. Okay, so we went down to this third column, second row, search for bids, right? So we'll click here. And then at the top, you'll see current formal bids and RFP, the second one, click there.
Okay,
And then you scroll down and you'll see all of that.
okay.
One of the things that I wanted to kind of explain further is that we have the sealed bids, we have the informal procurements, and then we have the request for proposals. The sealed bids are bids where you are providing, or you're answering the bid itself. You're providing all the documentation and information that they need in order to answer the bid. You put that in a sealed envelope and you turn it in on time, okay? Not a minute late.
Online.
Online, okay, I'm sorry. I'm pre-COVID, you put it in an envelope, you take it down there, and they had an opportunity for some of them to be submitted online. During COVID, all of it went online. So now it's all online?
Yes.
Okay, all right, so so not a minute late, they'll shut it down. So I was in pre-COVID, I was running downtown, dodging traffic, you know, okay. Anyway, so then the informal procurement is similar, but can you expand on what the informal procurement is?
So basically the difference between the three is the amounts. So informal is gonna be anything, probably around 50,000 or so, 50,000 or less. And then your RFPs is gonna be more of experience driven. So instead of the other two, your sealed bids are gonna be your larger bids over 100,000. So instead of saying, we need cell phones, give us bid on how to provide us with 2,000 cell phones. Your RFPs are gonna say, we need an event planned. So we need somebody to come in and plan this event. Tell us how you're going to plan this event and you're gonna include your expertise, you're gonna include your pricing. So we're asking you to give us a proposal of what you can provide, opposed to, we know we want 2,000 phones, so who's gonna give us the best price and best value for these 2,000 phones?
The bid, the sealed bids and informal bids are gonna be very detailed and specific. The, as Dr. Jackson said, the RFP's request for a proposal is saying, I'm telling you all of what I can offer you as it relates to event planning. And so it's not gonna be as detailed, you're gonna have a format, you're gonna have, and please, let it be tight, no spelling errors, and I know that goes without saying, but I've seen some wild things. Okay, you have to be clear and concise, you're competing with many other businesses, so you wanna be as professional as possible. The RFPs has a lot of latitude, so opportunity for you to put extra information in, whereas the informal procurement and the sealed bids are very specific. It's answering questions, it's providing the documents like a conflict of interest form, so on and so forth. If you don't have those documents in it, they won't even look at it. Yes, ma'am.
Do you have anyone that will assist us with preparing the bids?
So that is what my business does. As a mentor, I do provide information around, contract management, but specific details. So you have a bid in front of you and you need to understand it. That's on my business side. So there's very few businesses that do that in Houston, but yeah.
And then there's also a resource, Apex Accelerator, formerly
Yes.
known as PTAC, Procurement Technical Assistance Center. They will provide you free of charge. You do have to set up an appointment, and you do have to have an annual revenue, I think, of at least $10,000. But they can help you with local, state, and federal preparation for bid packages.
Now, what's the name of that?
It's called Apex Accelerator, but they're formerly known as PTAC. And I bring up their former name because I don't think they've changed their web address yet.
That's like
But PTAC.
PT.
PTAC, Procurement Technical Assistance Center. And they can assist you. Now, they're very good. Let me tell you something. They don't play, right? So if you're gonna have a meeting with them, come already prepared, that you look through that bid and let them know, okay, this is what, ask specific questions. I need help in preparing the bid because I don't understand this part, right? So, and just also keep that mentality anytime that you're reaching out for these services, the better prepared you are when you're meeting somebody, the more help and assistance you're gonna get, opposed to them taking time to try to figure out for them to organize and say to you, how can I help you? They wanna help you, but you gotta be able to tell them how.
I even have a PTAC advisor. It's easy to get one with the ramifications of having, $10,000 in revenue, so on and so forth. In addition, PTAC also offers classes at the University of Houston Small Business Development Center in the Galleria area, where they will tell you all about contracts. They will, show you all the different opportunities, especially on the federal level. Again, that is going to be your tip-top goal, is to eventually reach the federal level. So if you're looking at doing contracting, starting at the independent school district level, the county level, the city level, allows you to build up to that federal level. And PTAC helps you to understand that from each agency or each level. The difference between me and PTAC is that they can talk to you about it, they can train you on it, but they cannot do it for you. That's the same thing with me and SCORE as a mentor. As a mentor, I could talk to you all day long about contract management. I could talk to you all day long about QuickBooks, about business startup, but I can't actually do it for you. Yeah, so you would have to onboard somebody or contract with somebody to help you to actually execute the contracts. Yes, ma'am.
I need to get a mentor, because I've emailed SCORE, and so I've reached out to a mentor, and they contacted me back and asked me some questions, and I never heard from them again. I emailed them like 3 times back,
Okay,
asking for assistance, never heard from anyone again, so
okay.
I want a mentor, but it's like, because I moved here from another state, so I'm bringing my business here, so I wanted to start and grow my business here
Mhm.
as well, so I'm just trying to see how I go about being a mentor.
Well, so Robbie, if you can go to the SCORE website, and it's houston.score.org. And I will say during COVID, it's been a transition for us, because we had to go primarily online and now we're back open. So now you can actually show up without an appointment at the Gessner location. But if you are wanting to sign up for a mentor, you would click on, at the very top, and it is local mentors. They've actually changed their website, so local mentors. And then once you click on there, you can choose a mentor or they can find one for you. So when you click on choose a mentor, you put in the type of mentor you're looking for. So if you're looking for contract management, there's about 3 of us, they'll list all of those individuals for you. If you are looking for, Karen Gates has experience in sales, for instance. Keith is new, so construction contracting, so he's a good resource. So you can look that way, or you can look specifically for an individual. And that's the way. But if you're because you're having issues or complication, if you have the opportunity to go to the Gessner location, you can walk in between 10 and 3 p.m. and speak with someone right then and there. It's 10, I'm sorry? 10 to 2 p.m. Thank you. We have our SCORE administrator here, Quincy, and so it's 10 to 2.
I always say because when you have volunteers, and I know they try to say 10 to 2 in most cases, but try to make it about 1 o'clock. It is a federal building, so minding that you really want to do some of that stuff, but we're right there and available. Monday through Friday, there's always someone there. In most cases, you're with is by the time you walk in, we have mentors that are in and then we talk to you. It's not like you coming in and having to wait an hour to talk to someone. So that's in most cases the fastest way to go. Yes, I always have that.
Now, I had similar experience to you as that I was new to the city. First thing I did was go to SCORE. I was a SCORE mentee in Ohio, and then I knew coming here I was just going to start my business. Signed up with SCORE, and I got a mentor immediately. Was able to meet with him, and then after I think a year, I became a mentor. So it is. I understand coming from a new city or new city being new, trying to get established and the frustration. I apologize for that, but they are a helpful resource. Okay. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Does SCORE have mentors that have experience in international business?
Yes, we do. And we actually have some workshops listed on the website that where we've done international business webinars.
Not only that, but they speak all these languages.
And they have Mr. International, if you don't know.
Oh,
Willie.
yes.
Yes. Willie, yes, Willie
This guy.
Vergerhay. Am I pronouncing it right? No? Okay, there he is. That's our guy. He's a former president. He has 5 master's degrees, okay? So any area that you're interested in, he's so willing to help. He's actually my mentor. So he is a great guy. He's willing to, direct you to resources. So he's sent people my way as it relates to QuickBooks and contract management. So he is a good mentor.
And you speak 8 and a half. Don't forget the half. But you have SCORE as a mentor. You have PTAC, Apex Accelerator as another resource in contract management and then our office as well, Office of Business Opportunity. If you need assistance with locating or being connected to funding, we can get you connected to CDFIs. So especially when you're starting off as a business, those larger loans from like Chase and Wells Fargo may be hard to get, but there are other institutions, CDFIs. I don't remember what CDFI stands for, so just know that CDFIs like Live Fund, People Fund, True Fund that are able to lend micro loans, so anywhere from $100 all the way up to $5 million, they can assist you like funding. If you see a contract and you're like, I need resources, how do I do that? And they can work with you. And that's a good way also to start building a relationship with them.
So if we go back to the slide presentation, there are other, areas of contract management that we'll discuss over the months. So please come back as we discuss, other opportunities and other resources, as well as different topics as it relates to contract management. So this.
And also our office, we do have free legal service. So if you need to be paired with an attorney to ask a question, to review a contract, lease agreements, anything you can think of, you can access that on our website. And our website is houstontx.gov/OBO. And you'll just have to fill out a form, an interest form, so that they'll know what type of attorney to pair you with.
Can you repeat that again?
Sure, it's houstontx.gov/O, B as in boy, O. And once you get to that site, you'll just click on Houston Small Business Legal Consultations. Just follow the prompts from there.
Is that,
All right. So the type of resources that you should consider when managing contracts are mentorship, as we talked about, the pre-bid meetings, networking, land and location. We have real estate mentors within SCORE that can talk about making decisions about getting a brick and mortar, purchasing land versus going into a strip mall, management tools as it relates to supply chain, workflow, which we discussed, as well as financial management. As I mentioned, QuickBooks is a resource and a tool that we provide webinars about within SCORE. So was it next Wednesday? We are discussing bookkeeping as a free webinar. So if you want to look out for that, and I think in April we'll be going over QuickBooks. Capital funding, so your relationship with banks and CDFIs, as well as credit unions, is a great resource. And then again, the labor as it relates to employees versus contractors, we actually have a panel discussion later this year, specifically talking about employees versus contractors. So those are the resources that you should consider when obtaining contracts. Yes, sir.
So going back to requesting a vendor, back a month or 2 months ago, I got paired up with somebody because of my zip code. I did not go through what you mentioned, choosing expertise or choosing, the area of knowledge.
I don't really believe that St. Patrick's Day.
So I was wondering, the guy that I got matched with is wonderful. I mean, I've spoken to him twice, but I'm in the area of video production.
Okay.
He has zero experience there. Again, he's doing the best he can, his knowledge to help me, and very helpful. But I think I just want somebody that's right on my alley. Is there a way that I could switch up mentors? Is there a way that I can change mentors, or what's a no-no?
So the great thing about SCORE is that you can have as many mentors as you like. For instance, I told you what my expertise is in. Marketing is not my lane. I will in a minute give you another mentor that you can speak with specifically about marketing. I know the core, the boilerplate. Like I told you, I have trouble with social media, taking pictures and stuff. There is, you can have as many mentors as you like. Yeah, so you can go ahead and click sign me up or whatever it says on there.
What's your last name?
My last name is Harris, as in accounting.
Then I want to touch base too, when you talked about land and location. So the Houston Public Library can also assist you in looking at, if you're trying to find a place to have a business, they can look at the area and tell you, okay, if you're trying to open up a hair salon, and say, I want to open up a hair salon in 77003. They can tell you how many other hair salons are in that zip code, and that will help them to better say, maybe it's too many, maybe I need to go to this zip code. They can look at that zip code and make sure that, okay, if there's no other hair salons, is there a reason why there's not any other hair salons there? So just, that's another free resource that you can use as well.
And kind of like a caveat to that, the library can also assist you in understanding the demographic that's in that area. So if there is, 3 hair salons there and you're wondering why there's not more or why there's too many, then it lets you know that this demographic only makes $50,000 a year. And so adding another hair salon, especially if you're a high-end hair salon, probably won't be a good look for you in that location. So, they can help you with that as well. Any other questions? Okay, so I'm trying to advance, but it won't do it. But anyway, it just says questions in our contact.
Any questions online?
Yeah, do you have any questions online?
I've been answering them,
Okay.
so they wanted the address and all that is given.
Okay,
Someone said they want the web address that you gave for the business, small business consulting. And it's score.houston. Okay, I'll put that in there for you.
Houston.score.org is
Okay.
the website. Now, again, it doesn't have to be on the topic that we have. It could be any question that you have about government contracts, about SCORE, about HCC. We're here to answer your questions in person. We understand that, you don't get this opportunity every day. You do it once a month, but not every day.
I need to take my picture for LinkedIn.
I'm sorry?
Every first Thursday of the month?
Every first Thursday of the month, yes, ma'am.
It'll still be here,
It'll be here at this location. Yep,
same time?
same bat channel, yes, ma'am. All right.
How can we get in touch with the CDFI? What does that
So
stand for?
CDFIs are organizations that provide funding to small businesses, especially minorities, that generally don't qualify for the Chase and Wells Fargo loans. So People Fund.
Yeah, you can send me an email, I can.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Yeah, and
my
so-
email address is PORSC
I'm trying to put it, Robbie.
HA .Jackson.
I got you.
Okay, there you go.
I stopped sharing there.
Oh,
and
okay.
I ran it here. Yeah.
There's all of our contact information. So if you want to send us any emails, I am getting caught up on my emails and I'm putting this on camera. I'm sorry. I've had, the beginning of the year has been amazing. And so I'm just now getting caught up. So please feel free to email me with any questions that I can help you with. Now, I am a subject matter expert, which means that I don't typically do mentoring one-on-one. You would have to sign up with a mentor, and then they will pull me in as a subject matter expert. So if you are looking for a mentor, go to the website, choose one based on criteria, then explain to them that you want to know more about contract management, and they'll pull me into the conversation.
Okay.
Oh, we have another question?
I have one. Well, my business, I have, cleaning business.
Okay.
So I'm fairly new and I'm a solo cleaner. So what would be the, I don't say downside, but what would being a solo cleaner, how would that go into play with bidding? And my business is fairly new.
Yeah.
It'll be 1 year.
Okay.
In April.
So being fairly new as it relates to the city of Houston is not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. Although, depending on the contract, they may ask for years of service. So the 3 of the contracts that I looked at last night, they specifically said they wanted that person to have 5 years of experience. And that had to do with the home health care services. And if you think about it, it's because we're working with patients, you're working with, a vulnerable community. And so therefore they want you to have 5 years of experience. But there are some contracts that don't require that. In addition,
We gotta silence the phones now.
But I have experience, that's another backdrop where I'm about to do doing business ads.
Yes.
Because that's my major,
Okay.
expertise.
Okay.
I'm in the healthcare as well.
Okay. All
So
right.
I've been with hospitals for 15 years. So I've been doing healthcare over 20 years.
Okay. All
But
right.
my business is the
cleaning
TD
service.
residential and commercial cleaning.
Okay.
Right.
So there is another opportunity, because the bids and informal bids and the RFPs, they are kind of heavy, meaning that even though you have, 1 year of experience in that business, they're looking for you to deliver services every day, from 5 to 10 PM at night, it's gonna be very difficult for you to do that as a solopreneur. In addition, you're probably a lot of things that adds to that. So that's what you want to take into consideration, as well as use that as a template. As, okay, this is what I can use to build my business and work towards this opportunity. So that's one thing. Then there's also smaller bids where, I didn't. Where there's smaller bids that are not posted on the website, and this is why developing a relationship with the contract manager is important, because they may have an opportunity where they just need one person to come in and do cleaning on Saturday or Sunday night, that a larger company is not interested in. And so that contract may be 50,000 for the year, and so that developing that relationship is important. Can you speak to
Yes,
that?
so what you wanna do is, again, the research is key. So even if, in your instance, being a solo cleaner, with that, you're probably not gonna be able to find a bid.
And see, that's what I was about to ask
So
you, how
what,
would you find
what you're
that?
gonna do, everybody's first step after you become a vendor is to search for bids, whether you're gonna be a prime contractor or a subcontractor. You gotta search for the bids, right? So then if you see that there's a janitorial contract and you read the specifications, what's in that bid is not up for discussion. If they say 5 years, they mean 5 years being in business. So then that lets you know, okay, my business has only been for a year, I'm out, but I can still be a subcontractor. So that's why you're gonna go to the pre-bid meeting. And then you're gonna, of course, before you go to the pre-bid meeting, you've already prepped yourself because you read through the bid. You found out like, oh, okay, they're asking for somebody at night in this bid to be able to clean from, I don't know, 7 to 9. That's something I can do. That's what I want to do as part of the bid. So you're gonna go to the pre-bid meeting. You're gonna look and see who is the who's interested in being the prime contractor, and then you're gonna approach those people and say, hey, I realize that I cannot be a prime in this. I'm not ready for it just yet. I'd like to be a sub. I can clean from the 7 to 9 that's listed in the scope of work. I'd like to be listed as a subcontractor on this particular bid.
Now, the pre-bid would be that same bid?
Yes, because each bid, most of the bids are gonna have pre-bid conferences on them, especially your RFPs. Your informals, probably not, but they're gonna have, if you see a pre-bid, that means that's a meeting prior to the due date of it. So that's to go through the contract, sum up anything or tie any loose ends. It's your time to ask questions. What you'll sometimes see, if there's consistent primes that may have had the contract before, they may look at that contract. So when they come, they'll say, hey, city, I see that you had, I don't know, 2022 on here. That's not realistic. So have you all thought about this, that, and the other? And they can say, oh, we didn't realize that. So we're gonna amend that bid, right? And so then they'll put an amendment that you'll see online that's available for everybody. So really that pre-bid time is to, one, is to network, but two, also to ask any questions about that bid that you may not understand or that you might see that's off, because they are open to if there's a mistake or something in there. But it's not a time to come and negotiate, definitely not. And so that's what you're gonna do. So if it's something that you look at, okay, I don't have the capacity to be the prime, but I can do a sub, and you're gonna come in. Now your certification comes into the part, because when you're talking about city contracts, whoever is a prime and it has a goal on, that contract has a goal on it, they have to sub that out to a city certified firm. So if it's a 34% goal and it says MWBE, minority woman-owned business enterprise, and if I like, okay, I want to be the sub for it, and my MWBE, it comes from Beaumont. So the city only accepts city certification. So it's great that you are a certified agency with the city of Beaumont, but we're talking about the city of Houston. We need you to be a city of Houston certified firm in MWBE.
And I'm actually familiar with the women-owned, because I actually went to a seminar at the ION building, which was, I think, Tuesday. So they gave a lot of information, but I had signed up for this one as well, so I'm just gathering all the information that I can. So thank you so much.
Yeah, and now also there are opportunities for the smaller bids or smaller contracts?
Yeah, there's gonna be smaller ones, so
This is
specifically
for everybody.
for, anything under, so anything under 3,000 is basically a purchase order. That department, if they need 2 shirts and you do embroidery, they can just reach out to whomever and say, hey, I need 2 shirts of embroidery. When you get past the 3,000, between the 3 and the 50,000, then that's a different story. They have to, that's gonna be your informal procurement. They don't have to place it always up for bid. They can just send an email out to say, everybody who has an NIGP code that matches with embroidery, hey, we need somebody. And all they really have to do is contact 2 hub certified firms and get quotes from them. So they can make a decision.
I have a client who recently, he didn't even apply for the grant, and he got a $55,000 grant just because of his connection, his vendor registration. They were looking for someone with his particular skill set. They called him up and he got it. That's it. So that's why you want to develop that relationship. You want to be on that radar, go to those pre-bid meetings, develop the relationship with the prime, with the contract manager, introduce yourself. The smaller ones that she talked about, I know that's little money, but it's to get your feet wet. This contract management is not necessarily about the money. That's great. The money's great. That's a carrot, but it's about relationships. That's what this is about. Okay, for longevity of your business.
And those smaller ones, you're gonna have to contact the departments directly.
Like what, or just in the smaller bid?
The smaller opportunities, yes. In your instance, with the cleaning, that's not gonna be small. So you'll have to be a subcontractor. Now, they have, the correct term is escaping my mind, but they have contracts where it's like ongoing as needed, ad hoc contracts. So I might, if I have that contract, that means whenever the city calls me, they need me to come and clean. Then I just have somebody come out there and clean, but that's a contract. So you would have to come in as a subcontractor, your best option.
One more question, with that pre-bid, I'm sorry, with that pre-bid, how would you know when to go to that meeting? It's gonna tell you when you click
Yeah,
that.
it's only gonna happen one time. It's gonna tell you whether it's virtual or in person, what time.
Now, would it be up under that big,
You have to go into the bid.
contract? Okay,
Mhm.
there you go.
Where Robbie had clicked on the PDF, usually there's a list of items as well as the meeting time, all that good stuff in there.
So I have a question. I have a staffing agency and I've been trying to connect with the city of Houston to get bids. Sub bids.
They don't ever do, I haven't seen, a staffing contract by itself. It's typically gonna be as a sub, as part of a larger contract.
How can I get you?
Okay, in the interest of time, I want to make sure, we are scheduled till 2, right? So we want to make sure, we do have, I just realized standing up here, how many people? We do have forms that you can fill out. This is the newsletters. When we do these type of events or workshops at HCC, we can share that. I will share a recording because someone asked of this session. And feel free to see our contact information, and my office is here, so I am available if you'd like to have any questions about all of this stuff. But also, please check in here. I think SCORE is keeping a tally of how many folks register and show up. I don't know if there'll be prizes later, but you never know.
Yeah, you get a mentor.
And certainly invite you, and we'll request more SCORE folks to be here so that you could do one-on-one, in the halls or something, right? That way you can get your answers directly and not have to wait. But certainly, thank you so much for being here, and feel free to network amongst yourselves. I mean, some of you may be primes.
Yes,
Or
in the
subs.
room, yes.
So make sure you exchange your business information.
Or y'all can partner up to be a prime together.
Yes.
Exactly.
So our next meeting is April 6th. The topic is supply chain management. So we look forward to seeing you then. Thank you so much for coming out. Thank you for my clients that showed up as well.
And so for my
Do fill this
staffing
out and
lady,
do sign in if you haven't already.
so with the staffing,
She's coming to you.
I know, I got bills. Department heads for the meeting. And I'm gonna write it down.
All right, you get on their radar.
Not
let them
everybody's
know.
gonna be able to take advantage of that, but if you could
Okay, we're gonna now wrap up this event and we'll share the recording. Thank you. Bye.